Hello and welcome, everyone. I have the great pleasure and honor to be interviewing Schamet Horsfield. Yay! A beautiful goddess, a sacred divine feminine leader, a clairvoyant, a teacher, healer, an oracle, a transformational guide and coach for people all over the world. Welcome, Schamet.
Oh, thank you, Melinda. So good to be here with you.
Thank you. So, as a feminine leader, what does leadership mean to you?
Leadership has been an interesting one for me because I had some resistance about it. I have to say, there's been some really bad leaders and there still are, right? And so there was some baggage there that I had to heal through and, redefine what leadership really meant to me. But I knew that I was a leader. Ever since I was a little girl, I knew that I was a leader. And so it's been really important to me. Obviously, I've created the summit, almost like a life work question for me around leadership. So leadership to me means that the best way, and that I teach in stories, is looking at lighthouses. Where we live here in Island Bay, there are 3 lighthouses, beacons of light that navigate people, boats in the night. So when I look out and it's dark, there are these lights. And so I'm every day looking at these lighthouses. And then we drove to the lighthouses, and I love lighthouses. And I see myself as a lighthouse, a beacon of hope, a beacon of truth. And I do my best to keep my light on and bright so that I can help others navigate through their darkness. And so to me, a leader is like a lighthouse. A leader is someone that has the light turned on inside of them. And, sometimes it's brighter and sometimes it's dimmer, but they are dedicated and committed. And I'm committed to always keeping my light burning bright so that I can be of service and help other people navigate, whether it's, navigating from grief and sadness to their joy again, their happiness, and releasing the grief or whatever's blocking them to their joy, to their happiness. And so for me, leadership really started with me going in and leading myself out of my own sadness, my own grief, my own wounds. And, I had a troubled beginning in my life, and I was able to lead myself in a way that I could align myself to my joy, to my happiness, to my victory. And to me, that is a leader. And and I could talk a lot more, but being a lighthouse, being a light, and to me, being heart-led is the core and like the foundation in which it all comes from.
So beautiful. I love that analogy. And so many of us can relate to that analogy of the lighthouse. And so beautifully said. I could just see the lighthouse and imagining the light. And I loved how you compare leadership to the lighthouse. I just loved it. Beautiful.
Thank you. And I want to add one more thing is like, I also believe a leader knows how to manifest, to consciously create what they're wanting to create. And I used to drive around the bays for years and dream and envision living next to the white lighthouse that's here in Island Bay. And well, I created it. I asked the universe for our dream home, and an hour later it turned up. And I had asked for a specific view here in Island Bay in front of the island. And quite literally, the house, our dream home that we live in now, that I asked for, I was given everything. And I feel so grateful and so blessed and so honored to have that arrive an hour later. We now own the land next to the White Lighthouse. So it's pretty incredible to actually, live next to a lighthouse. It's not an actual real lighthouse. It's made to look like one, but people live in it. But it's iconic here in Island Bay, and it's just like so amazing. And so I think another thing, that a quality that a leader has, is being able to know what they want and then make it happen. And I'm a person that makes things happen.
Well, you definitely are, and you are a truly gifted manifester, and have taught so many people about manifesting their dreams. So thank you. So that leads me into the next question. What does the new feminine leadership mean to you?
Yeah, I love that. I love this question so much. And to
I
me,
agree.
the old paradigm of leadership was this kind of pressing through and pushing on. And I did this almost all of my life, that old paradigm form of leadership. I would just push through whatever I needed to push through. And it was like my warrior woman, my survivor from having a very difficult upbringing. I know where that came from, but I see it so much on the world stage with public leaders, where it's just like raw, really strong, and like, and they lead from the front too, and they direct and they tell people what to do. And and it was actually when I created the Awaken the Goddess Within Summit, and I was doing everything on my own. This is another form of old paradigm leadership, doing it all by myself, doing it on my own. I had a little bit of help, but mainly I was the one woman band. And I burnt myself out. And I was pushing, and then I totally burned out. And so that is old paradigm leadership. New paradigm, and the new feminine paradigm of leadership, is saying, hey, I need help. I can't do this alone. It's having a team. It's having, people, soul, path, purpose, family, friends, community to support the journey, and not pressing through. It leads to exhaustion and burnout, and I got sick. So it doesn't work. It's not sustainable. And so, this next summit, this leadership summit, it's taken me a lot longer to create and birth. I'm taking my time with it. I'm doing it my way. I'm doing it in my flow, like you say, flow. And that is where the magic is. And, I'm taking day naps and rests when I need to, taking care of myself, not just pushing through to succeed. A little saying about the turtle and the hare. The turtle wins the race. The hare doesn't, and the hare's the fast one. But the turtle is slow and steady, and the turtle wins the race. And that was my first yoga class that I taught. It was called The Turtle and the Hare. And, the beautiful studio owner, she says, that was the best yoga class I've ever done. And the most amazing part was I just watched this YouTube video of a real turtle and a real hare. And the real turtle actually really did win the race, because the hare was like, squirrel, like bright and shiny thing over here, and like got distracted and was all over the show, where the turtle was like slow and steady going forward, and the turtle won. And so that is the new feminine paradigm of leadership is slow and steady and committed and heart-led, and taking the time to rest, time to honor ourselves and honor the time of others as well. So again, heart-led leadership is the new feminine paradigm. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love your stories, and so many of us have been in survival mode,
Yeah,
and now we get to be in the flow mode.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
my next question for you is, so what are your top qualities you consider in a leader?
The first thing that comes to mind is honesty. Honesty. We have so many leaders that are not honest, and that you can feel it. You can feel the vibration of it. Honesty is like, I think, number one for me. And heart led. And people that really want to make a change, you know, the quality of rebelliousness, but for a good cause, not rebelliousness just for the sake of being a rebel and being rebellious, but actually for a reason. People that go against the grain, the people that upset the apple cart, that speak out, when it's not popular, and that, but do it with the intention of change for the good of womankind and mankind, and what other qualities? Authenticity, being really authentic, and kind of like a Care Bear. Like, I don't know if you remember the Care Bears, but I love the Care Bears. I was a Care Bear girl. I even had a Care Bear club when I was young.
It was
It was
so
my
fun.
first one.
I think everyone we all had Care Bears.
It was my first woman's circle. I didn't know that I was doing women's circles. I was like 11 years old, or was I younger? I was really young. But I created a Care Bear club in my neighborhood, and I invited
Care Bears were
everyone.
Care
Anyone
Bears.
that was anyone could come. All was welcome. And it was all about love. And we'd play Dungeons and Dragons together. And it was really about connecting these group of kids that, they needed support, they needed love, they needed to felt like they belonged. And, I think that's what a good leader does. It's that quality of caring about other people and seeing a need and fulfilling it. I knew that, like me, I needed support, I needed community. I was a kid that needed a bunch of Care Bear types of people around me. And so I created it, and it was beautiful. And so being a Care Bear, and the Care Bears were great because there was grumpy ones, and there were sad ones, and there were happy ones, and like including everyone. So being inclusive is another really good quality of really caring, but also opening it to, you don't have to be high vibe. You can come here with your grief and your sadness. And there was a grumpy one. I think there was an angry one too, wasn't there? There was a whole bunch of different Care Bears, and like all were welcome. So yeah. Anyways, I love the Care Bears.
Oh, you have been a leader at a very young age. So, so you do consider yourself a leader.
Yeah,
What
I
is
do. And yeah, I consider myself a leader because of that story of creating a Care Bear club when I was a little girl. I think that's leadership coming through. And so, and I feel like we're all leaders. We have different types of leadership skills. And, it's really starts with us being able to lead ourselves. That's first. And then once we lead ourselves and we're down the path of our transformational journey, our healing journey, our academic journey, whatever it is. Like we all have different journeys. But once we're down that path, then we can say, hey, follow me. I know what to do. Oh, do you need some help? Do you need some guidance? Oh, this is what you can do. And, you know, yes, a leader does lead from the front because they're leading others, but it's not like a top down kind of leadership. It's not like I am the authority and you know, a true leader, a really good leader knows that we're all in a circle and we're all equal. You know, there's not one that's higher or better. You know, I might know more about this and that and the other, and I can help you, but we're still equal. And so back to your qualities, like we're all equal, no matter how academic we are or how spiritual we are or how healed we are. Like we're all, at the end of the day, we're all humans on planet Earth having a human experience, and we're all equals. And I think that is a very, very important quality.
I so agree with that. You know, we are all equal, you know. So what leaders have you looked up to, embraced?
Yeah, I love the conversation we had, because you communicated that you had a hard time with this question. Well, I 100% relate to that. Here I am, the leader of the summit and creating the questions. And I was like, oh gosh, what leaders do I look up to? Because in my opinion, there's just been so many, I don't want to say bad, but misaligned leaders that are leading from a very wounded place. And I feel that there's just so many wounded people on the planet. And that is why we're in the pickle that we're in. And so it goes right back to what you were saying, Melinda, is healing our heart, healing ourselves. And if we all did that, like if we could all just truly lead ourselves, then it would be a very different world, you know. And that is my vision for creating the new feminine paradigm. But back to the question, like, who are my leaders, my favorite leaders? Who are the leaders that I really admire? Martin Luther King Jr. he's the one that popped up for me straight away. Like he led a movement and he had a dream and he went up against the powers that be. You know, he got himself killed for it, but he created so much change and led a whole movement of equality. And now, just like Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream. I have a dream that women will be created. Well, sorry, women are created equal. I have a dream that women will be treated equal to men, equal pay, equal rights, not equal as in women are trying to be men, but women can be women. I have a dream that women can run for president in their beautiful gowns, in their jewelry, their makeup, their hair done, looking gorgeous, and be treated with respect and dignity. And it's a big dream, but that's my dream. And so Martin Luther King Jr., he like speaks to me almost every day about my dream. And that is at the core and the foundation of all the work I do, is helping women step into their power, into their purpose. And so, yeah, he's been a huge inspiration for me. And other leaders are like Cyndi Lauper. Girls just want to have fun, you know. She's such a rebel. Like, I love Cyndi Lauper, and I actually sent her several messages asking her to be in the summit because I love her so much. You know, I just think she's, you know, yeah.
I didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah. I love Cyndi Lauper.
That's so great. I love it. Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, I mean, she was a rebel within her own right, leading a movement. And Sinead O'Connor, like there's a couple singers that I think of. Sinead O'Connor singing about what happened in Ireland, Annie DeFranco, like the real rebels in their own right with a message. Annie Lennox, like I see them as leaders to get up on stage and sing and be seen and voice themselves in the way that they do and dress the way that they did and express the way they express. Like, wow, they're
Yeah.
like leaders to me.
A true divine feminine leadership right there, huh?
Definitely, definitely. They might not be up there speaking, but they are because they're singing and they have all had a message that have alchemized me and changed me and helped with my transformation and me stepping into my power as a woman, as a divine feminine leader. I pay tribute to these incredible singers that stepped into their power, the power to be seen, to be heard, and to be who they are. Like very, very inspiring. Oprah is another one. Like Oprah is such an incredible woman, and how she has brought so many spiritual conversations, enlightenment, transformation, growth. Incredible. Like Oprah's, wow, I love what she's done. And then my new favorite leader right now is Marianne Williamson. Wow, she is so strong. She's heart led, she's wise, and she's running for president of the United States. Like, wow, 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 wow. It's incredible. Marianne Williamson is moving and shaking, and she's not giving up. And my heart goes out to her because she's been attacked. She's been ridiculed. Been made fun of because she's a spiritual woman. And because she's a spiritual woman, they're using that against her, and it's not okay. It's so old paradigm what they're doing to her, and it's new paradigm that she's like, you know what, these are my values, these are my ethics, these are my morals, and I want to make America great again, like well and truly. She really means it. And that to me is truly admirable. So yeah, love
Yeah,
Marianne Williamson.
and that goes back to what you were saying about the qualities in leadership that, and she's embracing all of that. And these women have left a huge impact, their footprint, right, on the earth. So great. So
Yeah, you know
next,
what? I have to add another leader that, so when I first began this answer to this question, it was Wonder Woman. But Wonder Woman is actually not a real person. And I was like, oh, and I had to kind of, deep dive into why did I think of Wonder Woman to begin with. Like that was my first one, was Wonder Woman, not Martin Luther King, it was Wonder Woman. And then I was like, gosh, Schamet, that's quite superficial. Like she's like a sexy thing, Linda Carter. But what happened was when I started to dive deeper into why was it Wonder Woman, then I found out the backstory. Wonder Woman, yes, she's, a lot of people say, oh, she's not even real. She's just a sex object for men, blah, blah, blah. But no, she's not. This is why. Wonder Woman was created by an American psychologist, and his name was William Marston, and his wife, Elizabeth Marston. And they created Wonder Woman with the inspiration of their lover named Olive Byrne. And so rewind back a long time ago when it was very, very taboo for a psychologist, husband and wife, to have a lover that was their student, Olive. And she was the inspiration for how Wonder Woman was created. Well,
Wow.
yeah. And so, no, Wonder Woman was not created as a sex object at all. She was actually created from their real life of them stepping into their power. So, there's a book written about it. My mother-in-law actually got me the book. So I also admire my mother-in-law for getting me this fantastic book about the backstory of how Wonder Woman was created. You know, there was a while that book was burned. All the books were burned. Wonder Woman was like wiped out because of this relationship. But these three people were in love and they had a beautiful relationship. And actually, when William passed away, they made a movie about it as well. But when he passed away, the two women continued to be together in their relationship. They truly loved each other and they raised all their kids and they were together for the rest of their lives. And so it's added a whole new layer of why I love Wonder Woman so much and how I felt this sacred, divine, feminine leadership energy coming from Wonder Woman, because in fact, William, loved women and he wanted women to be in positions of power. He felt that the way forward, the new feminine paradigm, was to have women in forms of leadership. And it's a long story, but they got so much what is the word? They were punished. They lost their jobs at the university over it. Like they went through a lot just to be who they are and to live the life that they wanted to live. They were persecuted. They were punished. And Elizabeth did not ever get the accolades that she deserved because she was a woman. And so it was in William's heart that women should be in positions of leadership. Women should be recognized. And that was how Wonder Woman was created. And that also women, for being beautiful, for being sexy, for being in their power, should be honored. So that's why Wonder Woman's like all businessy in the day at her job with her glasses, wearing a suit to honor the woman as a career woman, because he honored his wife as an equal psychologist. But also, Olive was the sexy one. She was their lover, right? So she was the one that wore the Wonder Woman costume. And she had armbands, that she wore all the time. And she had a little sexy outfit. And that's how Wonder Woman was born.
Wow.
Of honoring, I mean, he was a psychologist. So honoring the career woman, the business woman, but also honoring the sexy, beautiful, feminine part of her nature, and that they're both part of being a strong, powerful, magical woman that's here to create change on the earth. And so I know a lot of people love Wonder Woman. And so I wanted to share that story because, yes, that is the sacred, divine, feminine leadership coming through the creation of this Wonder Woman, and we're all Wonder Women.
We all are Wonder Woman. Thank you for sharing that story, because I'm sure so many of us do not know that story. So my eyes were wide open on that. So
I know, because it was erased.
well, back then it was taboo. I mean,
it was taboo. They lost their jobs. They went through a lot. And so I wanted to share leadership to me, is being able and willing to believe in yourself, your purpose, your mission, your values, even when it's not popular, even when it creates
getting
waves.
ridiculed.
Yeah.
It's staying in your authenticity. So, nobody can shake you, take you out of that. When you are speaking and living your truth, you are an untouchable. Okay.
Well, I don't know if we're untouchable because they were persecuted, and so was Martin Luther King Jr., but they did it for a reason. And the message and the change, that hasn't been able to be touchable. Like
Right.
they live on, they created a movement. And I think that is a powerful visionary leadership. They create a movement. They might not do things when they're popular, but they do them because they know they need to. Yeah.
Yeah. It is meant, untouchable is that when you're in your truth and living your truth and living the way, it doesn't matter what anybody else says to you, no matter what anybody else does to you, whether you get fired or this, you're still living in your truth.
That's
And
true.
they can try to knock you off, but you're staying in your truth.
That's
So, and
right.
all the rest doesn't matter. Right? So thank you for sharing that story. I loved it. It's quite interesting and fascinating for so many people that, looked up to Wonder Woman, right? Wanted to be, how many of us wanted to be Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
Now we are Wonder Woman,
I
with
know.
the
I
new
got my
feminine
Wonder Woman
paradigm.
cup here and my Wonder Woman ring.
Ah, you're like, boom, it's supercharged. Ah,
He
so
wanted to create a movement. He wanted to create a
the
movement. His intention was to create, uh, you know, uh, for women to step into their power. And look at what he's done. But in his
he was
lifetime,
ahead of his time, and here we are now. We're all embracing ourselves, healing and, so what a beautiful time to be a woman, right?
it
So
is. It is. And we have
I,
William Marston, Elizabeth Marston, and Olive Byrne to be grateful for, because they really were ahead of their time and they really started to birth the new feminine paradigm, which is love and equal rights and empowerment and
yeah,
all the things, honoring our sexuality, our sensuality. Why can't a powerful woman wear a little tiny, outfit, and still be powerful, whether she's got clothes on or no clothes on? Like, we're all powerful. And so, yeah, there's a lot in that.
yeah, there absolutely is. So my next question for you is, how do you think we are going to change the world?
Yeah, we're going to change the world by honoring who we are, being in our authenticity, healing our hearts, like what you were saying, always coming back to that self-love piece. And back to the Wonder Woman story, there's a lot of sexual healing in that as well. And I think that's going to change the world in a big way, is really redefining our relationship to leadership and to the feminine. For so long, women have just been treated like sex objects and have not been respected for their leadership, for their power, and for who they are. And so it's created a big, separation between, the genders and between our understanding of femininity and masculinity. And so, what's going to change the world? Healing our relationship to our own femininity and our own masculinity and who we are in the world in relationship to healing ourselves and choosing love, like coming back to love and compassion, and not only working on ourselves, but aligning to who we truly are in our heart.
Mm. 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 Absolutely. Ooh, I felt that one. Give me get a little teary because, we can all relate, so much. So how would you change the world?
Ooh, There are so many things I would want to do. This could be the whole conversation for the next hour, but I will be.
Uh-oh. You want to run for president?
No, I don't want that responsibility. It's huge. But if I was made leader of the world, the first thing I would do is place people that really truly could do that job, like be the president and lead, put them in those positions. I wouldn't want to lead though I wouldn't want to be president, but I could be like the oracle, the spiritual guide in the background, helping align people, like, the Care Bear Club leader, and put the people in positions of power that really truly are heart-led, that really truly have the best heartfelt purpose and reason. I'm getting emotional here. That really sees the world as a circle, that sees us all as equals, and people that are really, truly wanting to make this world a better place for everyone, not just certain elite people, people up here, no, none of the cliquey stuff. Really just want to make this world a better place, want to help the earth, want to help the oceans, want to help the animals, that want to clean up the planet, the pollution, and the just really want to save humanity, save the earth, and make it great again in a beautiful way. And I don't mean just make America great again. I mean the world, right? If we're talking about the world here. And then the other thing I'd really focus on is, and this is because I just studied childhood development and how important it is for the children, focusing a lot of energy into programs for children and for young moms on how to parent and have support for the young moms that are bringing these children, because the children are our future, to give them that solid, 7 years. Like, imagine if children had everything they needed to be incredible human beings at the beginning, who they would turn into. I mean, our generation, we're still healing our childhood wounds, right? We're still trying to so we can move forward and be of service. And so what if we just had healed humans? Wouldn't that be incredible? And so I feel like a lot of the resources need to go into early childhood education for the parents and support, and for the children. And yeah, a lot of that would need to be funneled into the lives of the children and the young moms, all the moms and the dads, educating from a place of love, from a heart-centered place, giving them the tools and the resources, so they can really thrive, not just survive, or even, a lot of people are still not even really surviving. They're in survival mode, like you said. Giving people education, resources, support to not only survive, but thrive.
Yeah, I like that, thrive and not just survive. So beautiful. And what a beautiful picture of the world you portrayed. I love it. Aw.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
so with that, you mentioned the power. So what does power mean to you?
Yeah, power. I'm very attracted to power. I always have been. And there for a while, I kind of questioned it. Like, why am I so attracted to powerful people? Like, I'm really drawn to Tony Robbins because he's a giant, and he's like, raw, and he's like really, really powerful human being. He's like my spiritual dad. I love Tony Robbins. And so I started to think about, why am I so drawn to all these powerful people? And then I went on a spiritual journey to New Mexico, where I was born, father in particular, and found out that my grandfather had a power center. Like, he actually created power. Yeah, I know. He created power in this little tiny town, middle of nowhere, turned up, went into a cafe, said, "Hey, does anyone know my family?" Ended up being surrounded by people that did. And I met the man that used to work for my grandfather. And he told me, that they used to fill this boat up with water and put all these generators, and my grandfather would power the town. And so he had his own power center, and powered the whole town, all up until the point that another power company came in and said, "We're taking over," and he was all of a sudden going to lose his job. And he got attached to, his dream and what he was creating. And he was like, "No, this is my, area here. You're not coming in," the big company coming in and pushing him out. And he was strong. Like, so being powerful runs in my family, because he sued them. He sued the power company. He
In
totally
your blood.
lost.
It's in your DNA. It's in your blood.
It's in my blood. But he totally lost. Like, he didn't win. And they did take over. But the townspeople were really happy that he lost, because it meant they had much better power, because his power kept dropping out because it was run by generators. So if they used too much power, the lights would flicker and then it would go off. Well, when the power company came in, like, it was for the better, it was for the greater good. But my grandfather clung on to his power, right?
His
And so,
beliefs. His beliefs.
and
He
so,
stood firm in his truth.
yeah. But he died of a heart attack a year later. Several things happened to him, but one of them was losing this court case and his livelihood. But that taught me a lot about power. So power is a wonderful thing. It can light up homes. It creates warmth in the winter. It creates the light that's in the lighthouses. The power that we step into and the expression of our power is like a really powerful thing. But if we get attached or we get misaligned, he wasn't thinking about the greater good of the town. He was thinking about himself and his business, right? And so he got attached. And so I've been learning in my own spiritual journey that power is not power over, it's power with. And it's not being attached to our power. So we can step into our power and we're like, "Ooh, I feel really powerful. I know who I am, and I'm raw." And we can exert that in the world. But then if something comes along that is actually going to be for the greater good for the community, or for my grandfather, it was his little town, for the greater good of his town, he needed to let go of what he had created. And it's not always easy.
It was his baby. It was his life.
It was. And it is. And, as I pass my torch to you, Melinda Starr, as I'm doing, I'm feeling and recognizing this power of what I've created, and that passing the light and passing the torch on. Like, when you say things that I've said, I'm now feeling this expansiveness. It lights me up. And there's this shared power where we can take the light and then we can pass it on. And so I'm recognizing that that is true power. The power to be able to have all light shine, and power with, and sharing the power and lighting everyone else's torches along the way. Like, wow. So then, instead of just me being a bright light, There's all these other bright lights. And then if we can all have those lights lit, that is awakening the new feminine paradigm. It's about each and every one of us stepping into our power.
Yep. It is truly the new feminine paradigm.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of your wisdom and your stories. They're always so enlightening. Thank you, thank you. Is there any words, pearls of wisdom that you would like to share?
Yeah, for those of you that are listening and you feel connected to stepping into your leadership, my sage wisdom is that it starts with you. How do you lead your own life? Like, if you say, I really want to lose weight, are you going for walks? Are you eating healthy? Are you doing the things that you said you were going to do? And I know that's not easy. I'm still, on that journey myself of holding myself accountable for what I want to birth and what I want to create. And I'm still learning to lead myself. But if we could all lead ourselves, if we could all be committed to what we're wanting to create, just imagine the world we'd be living in. And so it always starts with self. And then if you're a mom or a dad, then once you have a baby, now you're like the leader of their life because they're looking up to you, mommy, and daddy, how do I do this? And how do I tie my shoes? And how do I make an egg? And how do I wash my clothes? And so then I've got now 2 teenagers, and you teach them and you lead them, not just with your words, but with your actions. And I would say that for me, and what I've learned in being a powerful leader is, how do I inspire my children? And I've learned that if I tell them what to do, it doesn't work that well. But if
The old paradigm.
but if I embody it, if I embody and model kindness, when we go to the grocery store and the kids see me go, oh, hi, how are you? How's your day going? And I'm kind and I'm loving and I'm good to my community and I live in a certain way, then they're seeing that. And then because they're seeing that, they just start to be that way too. And I just hold them and I inspire them in the vision of what they're wanting to be and create. And honestly, I couldn't be happier with how my boys are turning out. They're kind boys, they're loving boys. They're now doing martial arts, and they help their peers, their friends. My teenager, he calls himself a wise old tree, and he's like the oracle, the guide for his friends that are struggling. And that lights me up. That makes me very happy. And so modeling and inspiring others is another quality of aligned leadership, heart-led aligned leadership.
Well, you definitely embody that. So thank you, thank you, thank you, Schamet Horsfield, so much for all of your wisdom. And we thank each and every one of you for being here and tuning in and taking the time for yourself to be a part of this. Thank you, and love and gratitude.
Love and gratitude. Mwah. Mwah. Oh, I have one last and final thing to say about aligned heart-led leadership, is being willing to be authentic and honest about when you get it wrong, being able to say sorry, being able to say, you know what, I don't know the answer, right? My mom got me this Ziggy backpack when I was a little girl, and it said, don't follow me, I'm lost too. And that was my backpack for a long time. I don't know if you remember Ziggy, and it had little stuffed animal feet that would flop around. And that's always stuck with me. Don't follow me, I'm lost too. You know, knowing, recognizing when, if you don't know the way, just say, hey, actually, I don't know. You don't have to know everything in order to be a good leader. You just need to communicate the truth and the authenticity and allowing others to lead when you yourself cannot lead. And that is a very important part of being a very good leader.
Beautiful. And it shows so much integrity.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having this
Thank
conversation with me about leadership. That was so much fun. Mwah, mwah.